Welcome, Alper, to the IoT For All Podcast. How are things going?
Good. Thank you, Ryan. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. I think the last time we spoke was little while ago. Now that you're in charge of LoRa Alliance, I'm excited that we're going to have an opportunity. It's a little different conversation, I think, than last time. So this would be exciting. I guess to kick things off, why don't you tell me or tell our audience a little bit more about yourself, your background, your experience, and then what the LoRa Alliance is all about?
Sure. So, yeah, I'm the newly appointed CEO of LoRa Alliance, and I've been involved with LoRa Alliance since 2016. Prior to taking over the CEO role, I was the chair of the technical committee for the past 8 years. I was also the vice chair of the board for the past 6 years. And I was with Actility. And when I left Actility to become the CEO of LoRa Alliance, I was the CTO of that organization. And I've been working on telecommunication and networking since 97. Started working on TCP IP development as part of Sun Microsystems. And then I got involved in Internet Engineering Task Force. That was my first experience with standards development. Later, I got involved in 4G design, 5G design. And around 2011, I had my first experience with M2M. Then I fell in love with it, then worked on it. And in 2016, I turned my attention to LoRaWAN, joined the ecosystem, and ever since then, I'm part of this exciting journey.
What kind of motivated you to take on this leadership role when it was presented to you?
When I was working on 5G and having discovered M2M, I got really excited because this is greenfield and it is one technology that will be touching every aspect of our lives. And luckily, LoRaWAN has been a great conduit to make that happen. And in order to grow my role in this exciting journey, I thought this would be a fantastic opportunity to marry my experience and my passion with the organization in a stronger way so I can even bigger impact moving forward.
For our audience who might not be as familiar with what the LoRa Alliance is all about, can you just give a quick overview of kind of what the focus is, the mission, all that kind of good stuff?
Sure. LoRa Alliance is an international nonprofit industry association dedicated to building the LoRaWAN standard and promoting its adoption. And LoRaWAN is a wireless communication technology that is long range and low power that is specifically built for IoT and more specifically for the massive IoT applications. Anything that requires large number of devices connecting to the network in the order of like millions and sending small but large amounts of data and spanning all seven verticals from smart agriculture to smart industry. And that's what LoRaWAN is designed for. And that's where we have been getting significant traction in the market as well.
So let's catch our audience up a little bit on kind of what's been going on in the LoRaWAN kind of space. What is the current state of adoption as it stands now, maybe versus where it was last year?
Right now, we have more than 100 million LoRaWAN devices deployed all around the world. And when we look at the growth, we see that among the largest networks, like we have one member called Zener. It's a board member of LoRa Alliance. They have single-handedly more than 9 million devices connected. And then another large network is Actility, another board member. They have more than 4 million devices. And the Things Industries has 2.4 million devices. And among those, Actility and TTI, they have more than 50% CAGR, year over year growth on their device count. So our largest networks are seeing 50% growth over year, and we see adoption in multiple areas. And most recently, smart buildings have been our locomotive. That's where we see tremendous amount of traction in smart buildings and facility management.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense given what the technology is kind of focused on and all that kind of stuff, which we have other episodes in the past where we've kind of dove into more of the technical details. One question that kind of comes up, I know in discussions I've had with people, is what the role of LoRaWAN is in kind of the broader IoT ecosystem with new connectivity technologies that are emerging at times. So how do you kind of see the position of LoRaWAN amongst the different types of options people have when it comes to choosing the right connectivity?
As you say, there are so many different connectivity options out there, even in the wireless domain. Some of them have been there for like several decades. I mean, some of them are emerging nowadays. So, a class of wireless communication technology for IoT, like Zigbee, Z-Wave, Bluetooth, they provide low power but short range connectivity. So that's one segment. The other segment, when we look at the long range, we see likes of cellular technologies like 4G and 5G and other legacy ones like wireless MBUS, etc. And what they do is they provide long range, but when it comes to the power consumption, they are draining power pretty fast, right? So, in order to gain the ultimate autonomy, which requires cutting the cord both for the power and also the range, you need a long range and you need a low power connectivity. That's exactly where LoRaWAN fits in. And within the same bucket, actually, there's been other technologies historically, like a couple of years before LoRaWAN came to life, the Sigfox was invented. Then after LoRaWAN came in, Narrowband IoT gained traction. And among all those, LoRaWAN has become the leading LPWAN technology. Today, when we look at the number of devices, actually Narrowband IoT has more devices, but 90% of the Narrowband IoT devices are in China. And if we were to take that out, LoRaWAN stands as the leading LPWAN technology. And we also see the Narrowband IoT losing steam as well. As recent as 2 months ago, AT&T has announced that they are unplugging. They have unplugged their Narrowband IoT network, and that was a couple of years after DoCoMo had made the same decision. So in the LP1 space, LoRaWAN is the leading technology with its mature technology endorsed by ITU and large ecosystem. The LoRa Alliance has more than 350 members. These numbers are always growing. We have both public operators, enterprises, system integrators, solution makers, the whole gamut of the personas. So, and if we were to look at the operator sides, like just to give examples from the US market, both Comcast and Verizon, two well-known operators from US, they are in the board of the LoRa Alliance. And very recently, AT&T, they are not a member of the LoRa Alliance yet they have started a LoRaWAN-based facility management service called Connected Spaces. So we have this amount of momentum right now.
So one of the things on the previous episode that we did, talking about LoRaWAN and its LoRa Alliance in general, certification was a big topic. We also dove into like the interoperability that you all emphasize kind of within the alliance. How have those two things helped drive adoption? And are there any other improvements or things that we should be on the lookout for that are coming, in the next year or so that are going to really contribute to continue to help things grow?
Definitely, certification is a key element of any standard, and we have been providing certification for the end devices since the beginning. And recently, within the last year, we have made several improvements to the certification program to increase its traction. One of them has been self testing. Up until I would say 6 months ago, one needed to go to work with the authorized test labs to get their devices certified. Now we provide an alternative to that, which is self testing. We have a test software called LCTT. By using LCTT, any member of the LoRa Alliance can run the test on their own and then come to the LoRa Alliance for obtaining the certification. This is an alternative to working with the authorized test houses. By the way, authorized test houses still provide tremendous value in terms of taking the full load of running the tests and providing guidance and also providing RF testing, which are additional tests they provide. But now the members have multiple choices. And also, we are starting an interop program. We are working on a test book to provide to the end device makers and the network server vendors so that they can run the interop test according to this test book and then come back and declare that they have achieved interop. And one other improvement we have done is on the pricing side. Now we have a bundled pricing. If a member is certifying their device for multiple regions, or if they are certifying one device and multiple others using similarity, we provide them a much favorable pricing for certification. So now there's practically no reason for any device maker not to certify their devices. The only thing they need to do is to become a LoRa Alliance member. And as one of the several benefits, we provide them a way to get their devices certified.
So you already kind of went through at a very high level different kind of areas where adoption is really growing. And we know that LoRaWAN can be kind of deployed across a wide range of industries, from smart buildings to industrial monitoring. We can kind of go down the list. Walk us through maybe one or two of the most impactful use cases that you're seeing or you've seen recently that's kind of maybe newer to display the power and the potential scale of LoRaWAN.
Sure, definitely. So, like I was saying, I would like to give an example from facility management. It is just one of the really verticals we are catering to. So, smart industry, smart agriculture, smart cities, and tracking and utilities. We have deployments on all fronts, and we've talked about a lot about the smart metering in the past. That's where we have really huge volumes. Now, the smart buildings have gained a lot of momentum recently, and I'd like to dive into that a little bit. So LoRa stands for long range, and we do provide range as far as reaching the low Earth orbiting satellites. When you send the signal towards the space, we can communicate across 500 to 600 kilometers. That's why today we have LoRa Alliance members providing satellite-based connectivity for devices on the ground, such as Plan S and Lacuna. And we even have one member, EchoStar Mobile, that is providing a pan-European coverage using their geo satellite. They're using a license band in order to reach the geo satellites, which is more than 30,000 kilometers. One needs to use little higher transmission power. For that, they are using a license band. Nevertheless, the rest of the system is using the LoRaWAN standard. Okay, so that's the kind of range we have. Now, obviously, we don't need that much of a range when we are on the terrestrial grounds, right? And then when you put a radio like LoRa or LoRaWAN inside a building, what gets you so much distance becomes the power to pierce through the walls and other obstacles because of receiver sensitivity. For that, LoRaWAN has been taking a lot of attention of the industry recently for providing connectivity within the buildings, all the way, all across the building to the farthest corner. And we see several examples in this space. So I can talk about one really large scale deployment. That's with Starbucks. So in North America, more than 10,000 Starbucks stores have deployed LoRaWAN. And the use case, they start with a single use case, and that's cold chain monitoring. So in a typical Starbucks store, um, there are 12 places where they store the food, and they need to monitor the temperature. And they've been doing this manually checking the temperature sensors and noting them. And that has been taking half an hour per store per day of labor. In order to automate that so they can save that half an hour and turn that half an hour towards customer satisfaction, they have looked around for various radio technologies, and then they decided to go with LoRaWAN, given that it can work in the harshest RF conditions, working through metallic obstacles like the fridges, and also piercing through the walls, reaching to the storage and all that. That's what really has been, I mean, that's been one of the strengths of LoRaWAN. And there are other quick serve stores also deploying LoRaWAN, like McDonald's, guys, Shake Shack, etc. And again, the AT&T example is also a new development. AT&T, seeing that this technology has so much potential for facility management, they started deploying that through their connected spaces service. And there are several others in the space, like now we're also entering the backnet domain. Backnet is a very popular connectivity technology for smart buildings, and it is supported by multiple companies, including Tridium. So we will be joining as LoRa Alliance to the Niagara Forum event in April to present LoRaWAN to the large backnet ecosystem. And another news on that front is the largest pest control company in the world, Rentokil Initial, has joined LoRa Alliance. Like I said, they're in the pest control business, and the pests tend to live in the most remote areas inside the building. And it's really difficult to get connectivity to them unless you're using something like LoRaWAN, which is super low cost And with the radio sensitivity, it can not only get to the farthest corners, but also go beyond the buildings. So we see a lot of momentum on the smart building deployment for that reason.
What do you all think about when it comes to AI and edge computing kind of becoming more prominent? How are these technologies enhancing LoRaWAN based solutions?
What AI really needs is data, right? It needs to pull data and after process, in many cases, it needs to control something using that. And for that, it needs to have connectivity to the physical world. So LoRaWAN, as the technology cracking the massive IoT, is becoming the one of the main technologies to support the mission of AI by pulling data from the physical world wherever the data is generated in the most difficult places. And then once there's a decision that needs to be executed on the physical world, getting the data back to the physical world. And more specifically, like how the two really come together. Not only there's the data being processed in the cloud through AI, but there's also edge processing. LoRaWAN has deployment flexibility. One can build a LoRaWAN network involving the cloud, but one can also push the network to the edge by combining a LoRaWAN base station with the whole core network inside a single box and running the algorithms. And we see several such examples. And furthermore, there are LoRaWAN sensors running AI on the sensor itself. The kind of sensors like the vibration sensors and also the image processing sensors, which cannot and doesn't want to transmit large amount of data. Instead, they do the processing on the sensor, and then they just transmit the events over LoRaWAN. And a really good example of that is in the oil and gas industry. That's one of the areas we have, again, pretty good traction. Um, Companies like Shell, Total Energies, Saudi Aramco, and Chevron, they have LoRaWAN deployments in their field. And one of the use cases is vibration sensors. For rotating equipment, they use LoRaWAN vibration sensors, which detect the anomaly and then transmit the events using LoRaWAN network. What makes LoRaWAN very special for the oil and gas industry, by the way, is the, again, extremely challenging RF environment they have. Extremely metallic, and they require high reliability. And obviously, they use ATEX, the another certification. There are several member companies providing ATEX solutions, like the largest oil refinery in Europe, the Shell Energy and Chemical Park in Rotterdam, has deployed LoRaWAN thanks to our member TWTG. And they've got vibration sensors using AI, going back to your origin question, and also temperature sensors and pressure sensors. And that has proved to be one of the areas that LoRaWAN is shining as well.
So I wanted to ask a question I know has come up in the past with pretty much the IoT industry in general over the years, and I'm curious how it affects LoRa and what you're seeing kind of from your perspective. But education at times does seem to be one of the most challenging parts of any new adoption of technology or just general growth in technology, right? So, what misconceptions are still out there in the market about LoRaWAN adoption or just technology in general? And how are you and the alliance kind of working to kind of address those and fix any kind of thing like that?
Yeah, it's surprisingly there are misconceptions. Just to give a couple examples. One is it's not really about LoRaWAN, but anything wireless. Because it's wireless, people think it cannot be secure. That's one of the misconceptions. And then even if they understand that wireless can be as secure as wired networking thanks to cryptography, then knowing that LoRaWAN is using unlicensed band, they go like, oh, okay, it's using unlicensed band, so it cannot be secured, right? That is totally bogus because whether one is using a licensed band or unlicensed band, the signals are over the air. They are physically accessible. What protects them is the cryptographic solutions. And whether you're using a licensed band or unlicensed band for the rogue entities, it doesn't make any difference. And for the cryptographic solution, it doesn't make any difference either. So that's one of the misconceptions. Another one, which I mean, I hadn't heard for a long time until yesterday. We were having a meeting. Someone said, "Oh, I thought LoRaWAN is just a French technology, just on France, right?" Honestly, it is kind of funny about this. It's something we need to fix. Okay, we cannot just say, "Hey, you got it wrong." No, it is something we have to fix. So it squarely falls on our shoulder as LoRa Alliance to go around and tell people, "Hey, it's worldwide, all the way from Alaska to New Zealand to the Pacific Islands. LoRaWAN is deployed." And so definitely the awareness right now, the technology is pretty mature. The products are pretty mature. What is lacking is the awareness and education. So this year, starting with this year, we are dedicating a larger part of our effort into addressing the awareness and education, especially the technical committee that's been building the technology. We're going to be using some of their cycles in educating the market, both within the alliance itself, by the way, but also outside the alliance through webinars, through tutorials, providing education material. And we are having more events for both members and non-members, going to more places this year to meet people face to face. And also our online event footprints were increasing, adding Q&As at the end of every one of them to increase the awareness and the education element. So that is what has been dragging us, holding us back more so than anything else.
If we look out into the future 5, 10 years from now, kind of how do you envision the evolution of LoRaWAN kind of happening? And, what are the biggest opportunities, the biggest challenges that you kind of see this part of the industry kind of focusing on, taking on?
The LoRaWAN technology has been already emerging as the fourth pillar of wireless data communication, along with the cellular connectivity, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. So the LPWAN pillar has been erected by LoRaWAN. And I would even say that it's going to be the most essential pillar because it's cracking the massive IoT problem space. It is not only catering to businesses, but also people and planet. We have several use cases that LoRaWAN is already being used for the benefit of people and planet, such as panic buttons in like schools and hospitals, such as in several wildlife parks in Africa for tracking lions and rhinos and giraffes, and also providing connectivity and sensing ability to the rangers, and for elderly care, for search and rescue. So we have a tremendous amount of coverage when it comes to solving problems. And for that reason, we believe LoRaWAN will not only be one of the four pillars, but it'll be uh, the largest load bearing pillar of this area. And it'll if we look to the future, we will see LoRaWAN will become a utility, much like water and electricity, right? Whenever you buy an electric equipment, you just plug into the closest socket. Or if you need to drink water, or if you need water, you will just go to the nearest faucet and then turn it on. We're on our way to cover the planet, both terrestrially and from space, by integrating multiple networks. Like the smart building networks, they're going to be integrated into a smart city network, which is going to be integrated into a nationwide network and also supported by the satellite networks, LEO and GEO, right? And we're moving towards building a ubiquitous network. Actually, it's going to be a network of networks, but they will be so integrated together, they will be presented as a single network, especially thanks to the plug and play feature of LoRaWAN, as we are enhancing that feature as well. It's going to be you'll buy a device, it'll come with subscription with a network, whether you're physically under the coverage of that network or anyone else. Through collaboration behind the scene, you'll just turn it on and it'll just connect. It'll be a utility. It'll be more available and seamless than any other utility we have right now. So that's where we are heading towards, and that's our ultimate vision to make that happen. And that is the IoT people have been talking about for as 20 years. Right now, we have this technology which stands the greatest chance to make that a reality.
I hear you there. To wrap things up, I want to ask you just a couple little things here for our audience's benefit. Are there any upcoming initiatives or strategic directions for the LoRa Alliance that you're particularly excited about that we should keep an eye out for coming up in the next coming number of months or sometime later this year?
Yeah, definitely. So we are increasing our engagement with the other organizations through liaison. So we are now looking at our own liaison relationship and reactivating the existing ones and also adding strategic new ones. So we are very open to integrate LoRaWAN with other ecosystems like KNX, Modbus, BACnet, and we have done DLMS, UA as well. And there are many other well-established IoT ecosystems, and now we are reaching out to them, and we're very open to them reaching out to us as well to integrate our technologies to present LoRaWAN as a new connectivity technology that can do things that were not possible in the past, and also tap into these existing ecosystems to help with the connectivity piece, whether they've been using a wired technology or some other wireless technology. And we're also going all around to various events. In 2 weeks, we will be at the MWC. We'll be celebrating our 10th year anniversary with a reception at the Netherlands Pavilion. It's open to anyone. So I would like to invite anyone at the MWC to come and join us and toast for the past 10 years and many. And we're going to have our large event in Barcelona in May at the IoT Solutions World Congress. So also we have a new event strategy. Instead of having our own events in a hotel somewhere, we're embedding the LoRa Alliance member event inside other IoT activities like IoT Solutions World Congress in May. And then we're also going to be at the CES in 2026 January. Now we're looking for an event in the Asia region as well, spanning all regions. So yeah, look out for where we are, and if you're a member, obviously you are being notified through our channels. And if you are not, I would like to invite people to follow us on LinkedIn and on Twitter, and check out our page, LoRa-alliance.org and .com as well. And and reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to me. My email address is alper.yegin@lora-alliance.com. I will be more than happy to get on a call, introduce the alliance, and also get to know anyone else, and talk about the synergy between what they do and what we do and how we can come together.
That kind of wraps it up for me on my end. I appreciate the time and excited to see where you take things over the coming months and years. And we'll obviously stay in touch and have you back on later this year to talk about kind of progress and things you're seeing in the market.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure chatting with you.